Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm good.
My name's Morgan. What's your name?
Michaela.
Nice to meet you. Before we get started real quick, I wanted to go over the informed consent that we have to sign. So this just talks about how everything you say here in this counseling session is private unless I suspect that you will harm yourself or others or I'm ordered in court. So that's just something that we have to go over with everybody. Do you have any questions about that? No? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and get you to sign this real quick. Right there for me.
Do I need to date it?
Yes. Today is the October 25th. Alright, thank you, ma'am. So I see you met our therapy dog, Simba.
Yes.
He's such a loving pup, and he really does love all the clients we see here. So what has brought you in today?
So I'm having problems with my dad.
Okay. So what I hear is that maybe there's a little bit of past trauma with your dad, or maybe some other things have happened. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. Can you maybe explain a little bit more about those situations so I can better understand?
Yeah, so it all started whenever I was little, and he would chase us around the bar.
Okay, and by us, do you mean you
and my older sister?
Okay.
And he would catch us and then spank us for nothing we've done wrong. And then when we were older, he still did the same thing. Didn't really treat us like we were older, we were more still a child. And then it keeps going on today where he treats us like we were still young. He doesn't accept that we have gotten older and are trying to learn to be on our own.
I get that. So he still thinks that the two of you are small children.
Yes.
Yeah.
Still treats us like we are.
Treats you. What are some things that he may do to you specifically that you feel like that makes you uncomfortable?
He just wants to hang around me all the time. He doesn't want me to be alone. He wants to go places, just us two, and I just don't feel comfortable being around him.
Yeah.
Because of the past and how he's treated us.
Yeah.
By punishing us for nothing we've done.
Right, I understand that. I'm sure that's very hard for both you and your sister. What about your childhood? Did you all grow up in a split home? Were your parents still married? How did your mom play a role in this?
My parents were divorced whenever I was a child, so we had a split home. So every other weekend we'd be with him, and then we'd be with my mom. So my mom didn't, I don't think she knew what was going on, but she could have, and I just never asked or had the courage to ask because I didn't want to get in trouble if my dad found out that I asked her. So I'm not sure that she played a role, but whenever we went over to her house, it was fine. She didn't punish us for anything that we did wrong. She still punished us, but that was probably because we did something wrong. But our dad just punished us for no reason.
No reason. Yeah, that has to be hard. I'm sure that was very hard. Is there any built up tension? Do you feel like you have built up tension or anger towards your father?
You could say that. He's done some things that me and my sister know of that he won't come clean about. And we've tried to talk to him about it, but he just won't get the hint that we know.
So what I'm hearing is he kind of puts on a front to other people. Talk a little bit more about that. Explain that to me.
So he, as you said, put on a front. So when we were out in public with people, he'll act like this good Christian man who does nothing wrong and lives by the Bible. But at home, he's doing things he's not supposed to that isn't Christian of him. I can't really get into that more.
It's okay. You don't have to talk about it. We don't have to talk about that today. Um, but that seems like it is a heavy burden on you. And as a new college student, you've already got a lot on your plate, and having the anxiety and the stress, I'm sure, added stress of your father just is rough. Yeah. So today I have this technique I would like to use. I think it would be very beneficial for you and your situation with your father. I think that it will give you a little bit of clarity, maybe that you don't have right now. Um, it's called the empty chair technique. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring this chair, and I want you to use your imagination and imagine that your father is sitting in this chair. And I know that in the beginning it may be a little bit nerve wracking because of all the years of trauma. Um, but I just want you to be able to open your heart and your mind and speak to him and tell him some things that you've always wanted to say to him, or express your feelings to him about the things that he's done to both you and your sister as a child. Okay? Okay. Okay. So just pretend that he's sitting right here, and we're going to pretend that he cannot say anything. And this is your time to be freely open and express how you feel and anything you want to tell him.
Hey, Dad. I know this might be awkward for you, but in the past, you've kind of treated me and my sister poorly, and even today, you don't acknowledge that we are grown adults living our own lives and just finding ourselves on our own. I wish you would just give us some space and let us uh, find our own path in life. And I would love if you would not keep anything from us and just be freely and open with us as well. And the past trauma has caused me and my sister some, what's the word? Me and my sister problems, I guess, in our life that we shouldn't have to go through. Being in a split home kind of didn't help as well, but it happens for a reason. And let's see.
What about, is there anything you'd like to tell him about your childhood? Maybe about the divorce, your parents' divorce, or the things that he did, like you mentioned, chasing you and your sister around the bar, and it sounds like physically, hitting you both. Um, do you maybe want to express to him about how does that make you feel? Does it make you frustrated? Does it make you angry? Do you feel resentment towards him because of that?
Chasing us around the bar makes me feel frustrated in some things that I probably shouldn't be. My actions are different from past traumas. I've noticed that I say sorry a lot whenever I don't need to, so I feel like from those experiences that has caused me to say sorry whenever I've done nothing wrong, but where you've punished us And for no reason, I feel like I should say sorry whenever I've done nothing wrong.
Good. Good. All right. Is there anything else that you want to get off your chest towards your dad, that maybe even something that's happened recently that you maybe didn't freely feel confident in talking to him about or explaining, that you would like to tell him now?
Um, so recently I found some things that I wish I hadn't seen, and I would just like you to come clean and tell us about that. Us, meaning my sister and me. Tell us, plain and simple, what's been going on, so we don't have to. So we don't have to tell you what's been going on, but you're gonna be honest with us and tell us what's going on, so we don't. So we know that you can be honest with us and treat us like adults instead of children, and just keep us in the dark.
Good. Good. So, um, how did that make you feel, being able to express some things that you otherwise may not have?
I feel very light now in my chest. It feels like a burden's been lifted off, and um, I feel very open now that I've got to imagine that situation whenever I would talk to him.
Right. Let me ask you this: do you feel as if um, this built up of frustration and anger has affected you, as now who's a college student, who's a young adult, who's potentially looking for a partner in life? Do you feel like the things that your dad has done, or the things that you've seen your parents go through, how does that affect you today moving forward?
Yeah, so not growing up in a traditional family kind of has me worried about a partner and how they're going to treat me, and if, like, how they're going to act towards my family not being together. Um, if you say frustrated,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really. I thought I said frustrated earlier, but I'm not really frustrated. I'm just more anxious towards other men because of how my dad treated me and how they could possibly treat me. And I just gotta be cautious because I don't want to go through that trauma again.
So what I hear you saying is you may have some walls that are built up
Yes.
that has caused you maybe to not be able to move forward with a future relationship, or um, things of that nature. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I I wanted to see what you thought about maybe using this technique when you're home, by yourself in your college dorm, and maybe you have had a really rough day, or your father has said something that's like triggered you almost. Um, I want you to be able to use this. Do you think you could use this technique on your own to kind of work through those daily or weekly, however, how long it happens,
Mm.
issues that you have with your father?
Yeah, I feel like this would be a great technique to use at the end of the day if something like really traumatizing happened, or I just need to get something off my chest to someone and can't do it personally in person to them physically. So I feel like this would be a great technique to use at night or whenever that day, whatever happens that day, and I need to like just relieve and get some anger out, but I don't want to do it towards them. I'll just do it to a chair.
Right. All right. So, Michaela, I'm going to check the time and see how we're doing. A few other things I wanted to talk to you about today was um, you had mentioned before about how your mom didn't necessarily play a role in the things that are happening with your dad. But in your childhood, did, um, or today, has your mom tried to maybe help you in any way with overcoming the things that your father has been through, or how does your mom play a role in how you feel today, and how their relationship has affected you today? I know you've already told me that you've explained that a little bit, but what I want to hear more, I want to hear you explain a little bit more about your mother.
Okay. So my mother has her own life. She has like she has her life and then her life and her kids. So sometimes I feel like she forgets that she has to combine the two, and she can sometimes leave me and my sister out of things and not include us, but instead just spend time in her own life. Um, I love my mother dearly, but she didn't. I haven't really talked to her much. I mean, me and my sisters talked to her about some things that happened in my father's life, but I feel like that's his life and not her life. So I feel like we should just
Keep it separate.
yeah.
Yeah, I understand that. I was just wanting to hear and see if maybe that has affected you positively or negatively, seeing, kind of the difference between your mother and your father.
Sorry. So probably I would say negatively because I didn't get that love in one home. I got love in two separate homes. So I'm not really sure what I need to be looking for in like potentially getting a partner. But every my mom's home had more love in it because there was more people in it than my father's home. So I would say negatively.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you say is, even though all these things that have happened with your dad and your parents' divorce, you still had love. You've still had love in your home, and you feel loved even today. I'm assuming.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Um, I really think that I really feel like this empty chair technique would be beneficial in more than one way in your life. Like I said, that you could do it at the end of the day, or even myself, sometimes I sit and maybe not physically sit and put a chair in front of me and talk through my issues, but I'll stop and think, at the end of the day, well, this is how I feel, because it's very important to express our feelings and our emotions. um, and another thing I really would love for you to work on, to make this your homework, we say, would be to work on the saying sorry so much, because from what I've heard from you is that you say that because you feel through your childhood you've always had to say sorry. How do you want to explain that a little bit to me more? Why do you feel the need to, all constantly apologize even for something super minor, or um, not just major things but minor things?
I think I just felt like a burden to other people because I've always felt like a burden. So I think whenever I like just simply hit them by accident, I'll be like, "Oh, I'm sorry." So I feel like just being around other people and them having to think about my safety too, I just feel like a burden.
I hear what you're saying. I hear.
Maybe not like my safety, but like I don't know the word for it. I guess burden would be a good word.
You just
Because
feel
I've always felt like a burden, even through like my childhood.
like a burden toward for who exactly?
My dad and mom and my sister.
Just always felt like.
Yeah, they were always having to take me places.
Well, and part of that too is you were a child, and that's kind of their job.
Right.
But I understand because it seems what I'm hearing you say is that it's affected you today. It still affects you today. Even just a few minutes ago, you said sorry. For something super minor, and so I think that's a good homework task for us to really work on and work through. Um, I wanted to wrap up real quick. We have just a few more minutes, um, but I really think that. Do you feel like you've made some progress today in our session?
I do. I feel like I've gotten a lot of things off my chest. I mean, I had plenty more, but I feel like this would be a good start.
You feel like.
It's a good start to seeing where I'm coming from and talking to my dad.
Yeah.
And
All right. Well, I would love to see you back next week, and maybe we can see how your homework assignment has gone, and we'll work through that a little bit more if that sounds good.
sounds good.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.